Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome, everybody, and I hope that you're having an amazing morning. This is Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 70 countries, such as the United States, Canada, UK, all across Africa and Europe, and all the way to New Zealand, Malaysia, and Australia. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use this to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us right here on Blog Talk Radio Network, Tuesday through Friday. I ask that you join our Facebook community, and you can interact with all of the guests that I bring on the show. You can join us at Life Transformation Radio Community. If you like what you hear today, you can subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, CastBox, the Google Play Music app, Himalaya app, wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts. I ask that you please subscribe to the show, and then if you like it, please leave a rating, a review, so that we know how we're doing. On the show, I bring on entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people who are impacting the world around them. My guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show, you can call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number, 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show my friend, Sean Romero. Hey, buddy. Welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Hey, what's going on, brother? I appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely, man. This is going to be an amazing conversation. We already connected, a while back, and we're going to get into some stuff, man, and I am freaking pumped to be doing the show with you today.
I'm too. Yeah, dude. No, I appreciate it, man. I'm pretty pumped too, man. It's kind of like when we connected, we're like, we're ready to do karate in the garage here, man. So because of our backgrounds here. So
all right.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to rock out, man.
Awesome. So the title of the episode is Faithfully Led with Sean Romero. Sean Romero is a 17-year U.S. Air Force veteran, John Maxwell Certified Coach, speaker, and mentor, host of the Faithfully Led podcast, and co-host of the High Impact Leadership podcast, a single father of four who is on a mission to create a faithfully led tribe. He believes strongly in paying blessings forward and helping people live exceptional lives. He plans to create great leaders, one awesome person at a time. Learn more about Sean Romero and his faithfully led mission by going to Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and inside of the show notes is the 5 steps to help navigate yourself after divorce. There's the link right there. Also, if you want to connect with Sean for 1 hour, he's offering free coaching calls for or connection calls or whatever, discovery calls, 1 hour, faithfully led right there, Calendly link. Connect with him, and I'm telling you, he'll change your life. So with that said, my man, what is your why, man? How did you get into this? Tell me your deep why for what you do.
Well, after joining the service, and I'm originally from New York City, so a lot of that kind of tied from and not to be kind of corny or whatever, but it did tie like around 9/11. I had literally enlisted 364 days, September 12th, 2000. I enlisted, and after that day, and pretty much after that, for everyone in the military and everyone around the world, pretty much, or even the United States, our lives were completely changed. And to be able to see that happen, especially be there after a few days after everything happened, it really did impact me in a different way, because I joined the military pretty much for I'll be honest with you, like for selfish reasons. I'm a private pilot. I wanted to fly for the Air Force. I wanted to have a cool life, to be able to fly, the airlines, and then part-time with the Air Force, flying fighter jets, things that. But after that, that all changed for me. It completely changed. And once I joined the military and understood that it was for a greater cause, not just for myself, but for a greater cause, then it really impacted me deeply. And I wanted to be a leader. I enjoyed being able to be that leader, to be able to lead other people and change other people's lives, impact them directly in that way. And so when I got back home after tech school, my instructor, he's my mentor. He's one of my best friends, and he really led me on a path of faith. And I thought I was already a faithful person. I would go to church, things like that, but I really didn't understand that relationship with God, and how I wanted to be more of a servant rather than just, be that guy who's, hey, I'm always there, I'm the one that you can rely on, but I'm not really truly serving people. And so after a while, after some tribulations in my life, losing my mom, a lot of other family strifes, a lot of other family struggles, and seeing different things in my career, I finally, gave in to, really being that person, to being that servant. And when I got married, we had kids together. She had kids previously, and I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be that father, be that husband, to lead them to a better life. And unfortunately, things that, my marriage was not, and just like any other marriage, nothing's ever perfect, but it just didn't work because, we didn't communicate. There was a lot of infidelity, and so it was just very frustrating. So, we ended up getting divorced, but that was like literally 5 days after I had to resign from the Air Force, and when I got out of the Air Force. And that was just happened last year. So my whole life just completely just fell apart. I thought I was this failure. I thought that, after 17 years of being a crew chief and being a flight engineer and leading all these men and women, and teaching them and training them, I didn't have a purpose anymore. Even though I, had my kids, had them, and they were, my lifeblood, but, they were my why, but it wasn't the why for me. It wasn't that why that was just going to drive me, because, eventually my kids are going to get older. They're going to leave.
Right.
They're going to have their own lives. They're going to have their own family. But I'm still with me. I'm still me. I still have to have my purpose. And my purpose was constantly evolving over the years. So once everything fell apart, I immediately turned to God, and I did, what I've wanted to do for a long time. I got baptized in my church, and it led me on that faith-based path, and to really learn how to be that servant, but not only just servant to my children, but to families in general, and especially to men, and especially because when you look around, all you hear is toxic masculinity, and you hear the nonsense about how men have to be this way, and then all of a sudden everything gets turned on their head, and everyone has an excuse to blame someone else, but no one's ever sitting there trying to pick up these pieces and go out and rebuild lives and rebuild communities.
Right.
So I felt that it was in my, this was in my heart, that God placed in my heart to go ahead and do that. And the best way to do that is to really start rebuilding men. Because if you look at, all the statistics, most of the time the kids that grow up in broken homes, especially young males, end up either in jail or worse.
Yep.
So I want to stem that tide. I want to stem that tide. And if I don't do something about it, then who is? I'm not going to say that I'm going to come and save everyone. But if I can save one life, then that one life can save 2 lives, and that life can save 4 lives, and I could start that process. So this is what was God put in my heart. That way I can do it, and this is why that's why I created Faith for the Light.
I love it, man. You covered quite a bit, and we talk about military life, and it's just one of those byproducts. I know a lot of people who got divorced. I know a lot of people who infidelity. I know a lot of people. It's a hard life, man. So give us a transformational moment or two transformational moments. You know, the theme of the show is life transformation. We were one way, we went through some stuff, and now we're this way. So give us a transformational moment or two or wherever you want to go with it that happened in your life, which then put you on the path to what you're doing today.
Well, the biggest transformation in my life was when back in 2013, I was still married, and my ex and I we went through almost a year-long separation, and again due to infidelity and stuff like that. And so I was doing a lot of reflection because I thought it was my fault. I thought it was something I was doing, and you know, of course, there's problems on both ends, and then there's blame to go around everywhere. And I'm not trying to place everything on her, but you know, it caused me to look into my life and to really reflect on what I was doing with my career and how I wanted to change, you know, just my life in general. And my career at the time, being a crew chief, I was a crew chief on the 16s. And I was the lead trainer, so I was training all the new airmen that were coming in, and my unit was going through this huge transition where a lot of the old guys were leaving, you know, and so I was one of kind of like the middle of the road old guys, if you will. So I had like a lot of the older experience, but I was transitioning to the newer guys, you know, trying to transfer that knowledge onto them and really keep that knowledge base, you know, and experience base to continue to create. And so, you know, I relished in that when I was able to impact them in that life. So in 2013, when all that stuff happened and everything just started kind of falling apart in the marriage there, I really saw it changed me in a way to where I became more of a servant. And I say that a lot because you have to be a servant. When you're in the military, you hear the term you're serving. You're serving. Yes, you are serving. You are not only serving the government, you're serving the people of the United States. You're not only serving the branch of the military that you're in, but you're serving for your bro. You're serving for your sister. You're serving for whoever you're on that line with. You know, whether you're kicking in doors, you're serving on ships, or you're servicing jets on an airbase, doesn't matter. You're serving. And to me, at that point, I didn't feel like I was at a point where I was truly serving. And so when I took over the training program, that's when I really, truly felt that I was truly serving them. And I turned it around with the help of another good friend of mine, that we completely turned the program around, and we were truly now serving these airmen to really get them to their purpose. Because it wasn't just them that we were worried about. It wasn't just the mission that we were worried about. We were worried about the legacy that we were going to be leaving behind. But we were building legacies as we were helping building these young airmen. And that's what it came down to. And I really took a lot of big introspect in my life to what kind of legacy I want to leave. Am I just going to leave that legacy for my kids that, oh, hey, dad served in the military for 20 or 30 years, and that was it. I was the airplane guy. I was the crew chief. I was the F-16 guy. You know what I mean? But
the F-16.
After that, yeah. You know, I mean, you're an F-15 guy, but you understand.
Yeah.
You know, so but it's still, you sit there and you go, man, you know, what do I do after this? When they retire the jet or they retire me, what do I do? What is my legacy going to be? You know, is my legacy just going to be that museum piece that's going to be in the Smithsonian? You know what I mean? At one point, but I didn't want that. I didn't want that anymore. I wanted my legacy to be a lasting effort. You know, because Bruce Lee, I studied martial arts when I was a kid, and Bruce Lee, one of my favorite quotes from Bruce Lee was that the key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering. Everybody wants to live forever. Everybody wants to live forever. Everybody wants that key to live forever, and especially when you're young, you think you're going to live forever. But the simple fact is that we're all not going to live forever. But what does live forever is our legacy. We're still learning about legacies from great people that happened centuries ago that we're reading about. Why? Because they created a legacy. They created a life worth remembering, and that was my key. And that was in 2013 when all that stuff was happening. That really became my mission. That became my purpose. But when everything really fell apart in 2018, then it became my mission. Then that became the start of my legacy.
Awesome. I love that, man. I love it. So how have you taken your transformational moments that have happened in your life? I'm sure there's many. And taking the why that you use to fuel you every day, how have you taken that and elevate the world around you?
It's a really good question, dude. Because because of everything that I went through, and not only that, prior to the military, and one of the things that I've been trying to really break into was because, we hear the number 22, and especially now May is a
Yep.
mental health awareness month and stuff. We hear, especially in the military, the number 22 vets take their lives every single day. And so,
Yep.
On average, so, I've had good friends that have taken their lives because of that, and they've become statistics. I myself have gotten to such a deep depression where I could have become a statistic, and we both have spoken about this. And so it became something that it's part of my legacy that I want to leave behind, that I want to show people that you don't have to become that statistic, especially in the military. But I had to look deep down inside myself to see where a lot of this stuff was stemming, and I did a lot of research. And a lot of stuff was stemming not even so much as, the military, what they're doing in combat zones, because a lot of it isn't even stemming from combat zones. It's prior to them even coming into the service. And so,
100%.
when I look at that, and when I look at that, it's like, it's crazy, how, when people don't realize what they happened during their previous years and their formative years, how it carries over. And then when they don't feel like they have anything anymore, then they go into that despair. So what I try to do is I try to find deep down inside where that stuff went wrong. I mean, because, as a crew chief, what do? You troubleshoot. When there's a problem, you troubleshoot. But you look back and you look into the forms and you say, okay, all right, this happened on this day, and it continues to happen, and how do we do this? So you look into the schematics, you get deep into it, you break everything down to find that chain of events. And so what I do is the way I help people is I help them look into that chain of events and break into that chain of events, so that way they can help them grow. Because there was another great statistic, I just read this, is that 30% of the Vietnam veterans that came after Vietnam, they had severe PTSD, and there was a high suicide rate. But out of the POWs that were locked up 6 or 7 years, that went through hell, only 4% suffered the same thing. Now you look at that and you say, wow, how do these guys who got beat and just broken down and were just starved, how do they grow after having such a traumatic event? And it's because when they looked at everything and they broke everything down, they looked into the abyss, they looked down into what happened, and they accepted it, they embraced it, they embraced that uncertainty, they embraced that aftermath, and they said, I'm not going to let this define me, and understood that this was going to be part of their legacy. They were going to understood that not only this is going to have this bad happen to me, but there's going to be other things that are going to be bad happen to me, and I'm going to embrace that too. Because guess what? Murphy's Law, Murphy's going to come knocking on the door, and he's going to come asking for his pay. And that's going to happen. That's a mathematical certainty. And whether it's, you're stuck in traffic, whether it's, you didn't have your coffee that day, or you spilled the coffee on you, or, you go to McDonald's and then it's 1 degree too hot, and you know what I mean? Whatever. But it's going to happen. And if you don't learn how to embrace that, and if you don't learn how to embrace that and learn how to change your future, what happens is you get stuck in depression, you get stuck in anxiety, you get stuck in, this constant cycle, and you close yourself. You shut your heart out. You shut everything down, and then you no longer can move forward. And then you feel like you're wasting time. You feel like you're not achieving anything. You don't feel like you're part of society, like if you're giving back, or you're fulfilling, or you're viable, or you're just valuable. So what I do is I help people find their value and understand that value isn't based on society's values. Values is already innate. Your value is innate. Your value is already given to you by God. God has already given you everything you need to succeed, but you just have to see it in yourself to get out there and change that about your life. And whatever it is that you want to do, whether you want to be the best mailman you want to be, whether you want to be the best fighter pilot, whether you want to be the best podcaster, whether you want to be the best business person, whatever it is, you already have those talents in you. But
Yep.
If you don't understand how to look into that abyss, if you don't know how to understand to look into that and start changing that stuff and accepting that uncertainty and accepting that, hey, guess what? You're going to fall flat on your face. You're going to have QA come over and ream you a couple of times. You're going to have you get yelled at a few times. You're going to have bad days. If you don't learn how to embrace that, you're never going to want to venture out and face that unknown and deal with that. And that's what happens to a majority of people. Majority of people, they have these great ideas. They want to be business people. But, you know, it never comes to fruition. You know, Les Brown, what did he say? He said that the rich, and this is where I heard from Les Brown, said the richest place in the world is a cemetery. Why? Because people sit there and they die with their dreams. They die with unwritten books. They die with unwritten movies. They die with unwritten businesses. They die with unwritten ideas. All that is unachieved. Why? Because they're fearful. And they become fearful because they're fearful of the unknown. And what I do is I teach people how to embrace that unknown and how to embrace that uncertainty and to go out there and achieve their dreams.
Perfect. All right, we don't go home now. Nailed it. I love it, man. I love the passion, love the energy. I love what you're doing. And, man, you're so right. Oh, man, it's like so many people that I talk to on a daily basis, you know, they have a story. They have things that they could be doing, things that they could leverage, but they either don't know how, they're unsure of themselves, they don't believe in themselves, or they sometimes sit there and live in the space that people have created for them. Like they live in the reality of what other people think about them. Instead of living in their reality and living their truth and believing in themselves, they believe what other people believe about them. I'm not good enough. Why? Because I was told my whole life I wasn't good enough. Why do you do that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's so much of this happening right now. And even like in the military, you know, when you get in the military, you know, we pump you up like, dude, we're badasses. We're in the military. We're the top 1%. Like all you hear about in their whole military career, you're the top 1% of the United States population that ever puts on a uniform. You're the top 1%, you know, and they pump you up and pump you up and pump you up. But yet we have these self-defeating behaviors where veterans are killing themselves and active duty members are killing themselves and Guard and Reserve are killing themselves and they're getting divorces and they're on drugs and they're, you know, consuming so much alcohol that they're getting their stomach pumped at 3 a.m., you know, and the DUI and suicide rates are so astronomically out of control in the military, but yet we're supposed to be the badasses in the top 1%. What they fail to realize that everybody's is meant to be the top 1%. Some people join the military because they have no place to go. When I was a drill instructor, I had a guy come into basic training with a black plastic bag. And when he left that black plastic bag behind him because he was living under an overpass. At 18, his parents kicked him out and told him to get a real job. He lived on the streets for 3 years. He was homeless, bouncing from house to house, getting different jobs, getting fired, getting hooked on drugs, and, you know, whatever. Luckily, he didn't have any felonies, but they let him in. He's like, dude, I'm homeless. Like, I need to freaking do something. So at 21, he came in to the military, and one of the best people I've met. You know, this was his why. He's like, dude, I cannot keep doing what I'm doing. Like, he needed to make a change. You know, then you got other guys who, you know, I had a person in basic training. I was like, this needs to be cleaned. And, you know, like the dust downs and making the beds. But our maid does all that. What? 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 Your maid does it? Wow. Well, you joined the wrong service, my friend. You might want to go join the Peace Corps or something like that because we get down and dirty, like, you know what I mean? And so when I hear all the complaining, I hear all this other stuff. I'm like, dude, you do know that our job is to defend freedom and kill people who try to take it away, right? Like when you literally break down the military's job, we defend freedom and kill those who try to take it away. See? Yeah.
Yep.
But they think about, oh, it's a 9 to 5 and it's just a job. Like when you embrace that lifestyle, you know, it just, oh my gosh, it takes you to a different level. And some people are just not on that level. That's what I've chalked it up to. Like some people are just not on the level. They're a 4-year and out. I just want to pay for college. Hope I don't get killed. You know, go home. Like I did my 4 years. That's it. I'm done. But for the lifers like you and I, you know, we sacrifice a lot. You know, I went through a divorce. You went through a divorce. You know, there's a lot of emotional sacrifices, mental, physical. There's a lot of things that you sacrifice. So what I want to talk about just for a second is how you overcame that, and now you have a resource for those that faced divorce, and you're working with a lot of people that are learning to become faithfully led. So just quickly talk about that aspect.
Yeah. So, like you said, we go in and it's definitely a mental skill. It's a mental lifestyle, and some people have their own. And like I said, like my own story, I went in there just thinking I was going to be the cool guy, Tom Cruise, Top Gun, all this other stuff, women, money, whatever, fame and stuff. But then it all changed. You know what I mean? That all changed. Once reality hits you and you understand that, being a fighter pilot, that's cool to wear. Yeah, it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Not everybody really understands that it's really not all that it's cracked up to be. But it changed because it went from going from serving to being a servant, and there's a difference. And when I went through the divorce, that really hit home for me. And so what I do is I really try to break down those roots because, everyone, like that person that you just, you mentioned, one of your trainees that, he came in, he had that purpose. He had that life. He wanted to go out there and make a difference for his life. And I'm sure that right now he's making a difference in other people's lives. And, and life's going to hit you. Things are going to change. Things are going to, especially when divorce happens. But what happens is you look at yourself and you have to see what it is that is your foundation. You have to look at what your core is, and what your character is, no matter what, because we have our core values in the Air Force, excellence for self, integrity first, and all that good stuff, right? Everything what we do, So you go in there and they instill that the three core values, serve for self, excellence all you do, and all that other stuff, every stuff that can come with you. They reblue you, they get you everything you do, But what is your core value?
Yep.
What are your core values? What do you want to do? What do you as a person want to do? Of course, you need to do that for your mission, but what are you? What is it that you want? So when you go through things like a divorce, you have to have that, retrospect, because what happens is a lot of times I found is that you lose yourself in that marriage. You lose yourself in that relationship. You lose yourself in whatever it is. You can be your career. You'll lose yourself. You lose who your identity is. You lose and then when that's taken away, that part of your identity is now removed. It's taken away. And now what? Now you're left with nothing. Now you're left with just, what do you do now? What is it that you need to do to create that, to build that back up? So I look at several things. So number one, your foundation is your faith. And now faith, when you look at the definition of faith, the faith could be anything. Your faith can be faith in yourself. It could be faith in something else. It could be faith, the traditional form of faith is, religion. Now, I'm not a religious person. I'm a faithful person. There's a difference. There's a huge difference.
Yep.
When you have a relationship, for me, my relationship with Christ, that's different than being in a religion. I don't need to go to part of a whole church or anything like that, even though I am part of a church and then I serve part of my church, but I am a servant, not serving. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be served. I'm serving. I'm that servant. And so I teach people that. So you have to have that foundation. You build that foundation of character, who you are. With the whole the craziness that's going on with kids now, that they're not sure of their sexuality, and there's all this. You see everything is the transgenders and all this other stuff, and nothing against them. But the whole thing is that it comes down to is, who are you? Who are you? Who are you as a person?
Yep.
It's not so much. It's not who you're sleeping with or who you identify with or identify as. It's who are you as a person. So I find that I help people creating that character, finding that foundation. You can't build a house on sand. You have to have a foundation. So you built it on that bedrock, and that bedrock is you, who you are, what your morals are, what your moral compass is, what your core values are, and you teach that. So that is like their center. That's what they build upon, and then you build upon all their other different characteristics. How they're financial self is. If they're in deep financial issues, hey, going through a divorce, yeah, you go through a ton of financial issues. If you have kids, like myself, I have 4. Yeah, there's a ton of financial stuff that comes with that. When you're going through transitioning careers, yep, there's tons of financial stuff like that. Is it in that position? But even if you're well off financially, but are you serving it well? Is it serving you or being a good steward of your finances? Are you being a good steward of what's coming from it? You know what I mean? Are you doing what you need to do? Are you overspending? Are you, over-medicating, things like that? Then your mental health awareness, your mental stuff. Are you doing the stuff that you need to do? Are you reading? Are you investing in yourself? Are you trying to look out for the ways to help you? Are you surrounding yourself with the right people? Because sometimes what happens is we'll get into these situations with bad people. Why? Because these people are not here to serve us. They're just here to help us become numb. And when we become numb, we can't move forward. And then so we're just being numb together. Why? Because we don't want to think about the bad things that just happened. We don't want to think about what just happened. We just want to forget about it. And that's part of the whole embracing part. Because if once you embrace it and you understand that can be your fuel, that could be your motivation, that could be your, hey, I never want to be this broke ever in my life. So I'm going to make sure that this right here, this moment never happens again. So I'm going to embrace this and use this as my fuel. And then you got to think about your health. Are you eating right? Are you working out? Or, even if you're not working out, are you doing something physically that's going to go out? If you're just take a walk, go out in nature. I live on the Jersey Shore, man, and any chance I get, I'll go out to, walk on the boardwalk, dude. You know what I mean? Just to go out there and stuff, just get the sun, get the breeze, get the ocean and stuff like that, man. And that's what it's all about. I walk to and from school for my kids, because it's really close. Awesome. And then also it gets us out there, But that once you get those foundations in there, that's what's key. That's what helps out. That's what really creates the person. And that's what embraces you and that moves you on and helps you grow.
Right. Nope. Nailed it. 100%, man. I truly believe that. And you hit on something key, man. It's like, who are you? You briefly touched on, and I don't want, people to think the wrong thing, but we talk about the gender confusion, and then we talk about people, the sexuality, that's a big one, right? Confused on this, that, and the other, or they're confused on their life path, or they're confused, like a lot of people are confused, I'm probably confused at least once or twice a week, like, well, that post didn't get quite the engagement I thought, or, well, that decision financially wasn't a good one. Like, what the hell happened? Like you're confused kind of once a week, But it's always executing on your vision and being faithful, because I'm the same way, man. I was raised Roman Catholic, so it was like a strict, you're going to go to hell if you don't go to confession and like all this crap, what I mean? And I always found a lot of things wrong with religion in general, right? Religion in general. But I found more things wrong with the rules of the religion being the focus, and not being a servant of God, or not following his laws instead of the church's laws, because sometimes they conflict, or at least I thought that they would, conflict. And so, when I joined the military, I was like, well, I'm not going to church. I believe, but yeah, I'm just not going to go, And then my life became crap. Right? My life became crap, and it was just like, this sucks, and I blamed God, and it was all God's fault, and he hates me, and, whatever. Well, after all the bad stuff goes away, and then you're in a good place, I start going back to church, and, I start reconverting, this time going to a non-denominational church. Felt amazing, but it reinforced everything I felt about religion, because they're not denominational. They're a church for believers. They're a Bible-based church, period, the end. And so, getting to know everybody there and the great church family that was there, it was amazing. But I still felt like, why do I need to go to church to cultivate a relationship with God? That was always my big thing. Like, why do I need to go to church in order to cultivate a relationship? Before, in the Catholic Church, it was do these things and say these penance and confess to, the Father, whatever. I always had an issue with that, because, that's not what we do. We confess to God himself, to Jesus
Right.
or whatever. Why do I need to sit into a wooden box and talk to a guy I've never met and somehow he's going to absolve me when Jesus is the one who absolves me? I don't know. I just kind of felt weird about that. But my wife and I, we do not go to church. We're not even holiday Christians. Like, we don't go to church on Christmas. We don't go to church on Easter. Like, we'll go to like Christmas Eve mass or whatever. But like, if we're not going to church, we're not going to go to church just because it's a damn holiday. However,
right.
we pray before each meal. We pray as a family. Sometimes we'll go to like a Bible study. Like my friends will be like, "Hey, come to our Bible study." Like, okay, cool. Like we're full-fledged Christians, but we don't feel like we need to go to a church in order to express the fact that we are Christians. I've seen a lot of, I don't want to get into this huge religious talk, but there are people that I know that are holy on Sunday, and on Monday they're lie, cheat, and steal, and then on Sunday they get spiritually fed, and then Monday through Saturday they're lie, cheat, and steal. See what I'm saying?
Yep. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And no one's perfect, and no one's ever going to live up to that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just like you.
100%.
I was raised Roman Catholic. I was raised Roman Catholic, and I was told I had to go to this priest to be absolved and whatever. And I'm like, well, but he's just as much a sinner as I am. That's what the Bible says. You know what I mean? So what's that?
Yeah.
So when I went to the non-denominational church, then I saw the difference, and it was very and it's all Bible based, and I see the difference. And so, when I go there, I'm there, I take my kids there. My kids love to go into church, and we discuss things, and we, just like you, we pray before meals, and we pray for other people, and we discuss things. And that's the way it really has to be, because it's a relationship. It's not, this isn't a corporation. It's a relationship, because at the end of the day, when it's time to meet our maker, it's between him and I. You know what I mean? It's not between you, me, him, and there's a group of 12 people sitting in a box saying, okay, let's take this to trial. You know what I mean? See if you get into the pearly gates. No, it's between you and the Creator. That's it. You know what I mean? And what you do with them, that's on you. You know what I mean? And when you're in a church, when you're in a group, that helps guide you. That helps build that spiritual foundation. You don't have to be like them. You don't have to do, but it helps build that spiritual foundation. Like the saying is, you are the average of the 3 to 5 people that you hang out with the most. And that 3 to 5 people that you're with, if they're that core value, they're helping you create bigger people, create you bigger than yourself, then you're in the right room. You know what I mean? But if you get into the room where you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to find that other room that you're not the smartest person in the room, so that way you can start growing, because that's how it is. Because when you go to church, it doesn't matter what church you go to. It doesn't matter what you do. If you are the smartest person, you're not going to grow. You're going to sit there and be like, man, I could do this. Get out of here. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. What happens? You know what I mean? Either you get looked at as, you're not the expert, but you're looked at as this pompous person, and no one wants to learn from you anyway, because what does John Maxwell say? No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And the minute that they know that you care, that's when they're going to start coming to you. And then that's,
man, I'll tell you what.
And that's what's key about it.
I found myself in that situation last year. I was at a networking event, and there was a couple, big fish is what the guy's a big fish, that guy, whatever. Dude, by the end of the night, it was like, I know more than everybody in this freaking room. Like, this sucks. I want to go to a place where I'm just consuming and learning, and I'm getting to know people. Like, I do not want, because I had like a pretty decent, I think it was like 30 or 35 people at this network event, probably tops, like maybe 30. I had half the room sitting in front of me at like standing up at a table, and I had the room in front of me, and I was explaining to them, how I create content and how to be a speaker, how to do this and what's this. And I was explaining things. I'm like, oh, just do it this way. And it was almost like a Gary Vee moment. Like I was the guy that everybody was looking to, like he has all the answers, and I hated it. I hated it. I didn't, not that, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was imposter syndrome. Maybe it was like, oh my gosh, I'm really good at what I do, and now I got to showcase it, and almost like, oh my God, maybe I say something wrong, and then maybe I don't believe in what I'm, I mean, thoughts like this go through your head, but I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I don't want to be that guy. I want to share information, but I don't want to be the guy. Well, unless I'm on stage. I mean, that's different because then you're just the authority. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, speaking on stage, I love it, right? But I don't want to walk into a room and everybody go, "Oh my God, there he is!" I'm like, "Shut up!" Like I don't. Come on, you know, like I don't want to be that guy. Like, you know, when Tony Robbins walks into a room, everybody's like falling all over him. You know what I mean? Or if it's like Tom Cruise or you know George Clooney, you know, everybody's like, "Oh my God!" You know, I don't care about that stuff. You know, that's not me. You know.
Yeah.
But it was like a weird feeling where it's like I literally know more than everybody in this room. Like this sucks. Yeah. So I don't want to be like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, you want to dig deep and see who you can learn from.
Ah.
I mean, it's like
Ah.
you don't want to beat that, you know. But at the same time, you know you're good, you know, because God has given you that authority. God has given you that dominion over things, and you are that authority. But at the same time, you have to understand. You have to be humble enough to where you say, "Hey, I can learn from anyone in this room." But if you are that leading authority, you know, you do have that responsibility to pass on your knowledge, because there's somebody in that room sitting there saying that, looking to you to do that same thing. But you also have to understand that at any given moment, that other person can surpass you, you know, and that's what you want. That's what you want to look for. You want to look for that, you know, especially when you're in a position of authority. You want to look for that person who's going to surpass you. And I mean, that's the whole purpose of when we have kids. Our whole purpose of having kids is not only just to, you know, build a family and have that, you know, have that loving roots, but you want to see your kids surpass you. You want to give them the opportunities to grow past you and to be better than you, you know, and that's what it's all about. And while we're here, it's our responsibility to be able to do that. That's our responsibility to be able to go ahead and do that to other people, especially people who are suffering. And that's what Faithful Design is all about.
100%. So let's change the talk a little bit, and then I'm gonna dive into that resource. Let's talk about how you were dealt a terrible hand and had to work those bummy F-16s. How bad did that suck?
Man, working the Viper, man, that's good stuff right there, man. I love working the Viper, man. You know, it was it's such an easy jet to work on, man. It really was, you know, except when you had to, like, the old Block 25s with the Pratt & Whitneys, man. Those are beasts, man. You know, it was like engine pull Friday. Every Friday you have to pull an engine.
Yep.
You're pulling an engine.
What was
every
15
Friday
world?
you're pulling another engine. Yeah. You know, so you're pulling that motor
for those
all
listening,
the time.
Yep. For those listening right now, Sean and I share a very common bond with the love-hate relationship of the aircraft and the fighter world that we work on. When you're a fighter maintainer, first of all, when you're an F-16 guy, somehow you think that you're the poop and you're the best when you're not. It's the F-15 guys like me, because they have the Thunder Chickens. We call them Thunder Chickens, and F-15 guys get all super pissed. You know, the Air Force Thunderbirds. So when you're an Air Force guy and you're a maintainer and you get higher level up, and, you know, it's cool to, like, razz at each other and be like, oh, your airplane sucks, you know, and all that. Until other people do it, then we just got to beat them up. But it's like this it's like, I don't have really any quarrel with, like, A-10 guys, and A-10 guys really are like, 15's like cool. Like, I like the A-10, you know, 16, cool, you know. But the 15 and 16 guys, like, your airplane sucks. So your airplane sucks. It's like we're bitter rivals, like siblings. It's so hilarious.
Oh,
so continue talking about how bad your F-16 sucks. Yeah, continue talking about that.
No, you kidding me, man? This is the greatest jet in the world, man. F-16s are the bomb. We do so much with the F-16, man, and it's so much fun to fly. Man, I've actually gotten a ride in a Viper, man, and it was my jet that I crewed, and
it's awesome.
That was pretty badass to be able to do that, man. And then that was pretty awesome, and you know, but you look at our bigger siblings, you know, the F-15, you know, and we see, you know, what the F-16 is supposed to be, and you look over to the F-16 and you're like, oh, that's what it's really supposed to be like. Oh, okay, there you go. See, now that's a real airplane right there, you know.
It's like a Chihuahua taking off and barking, right? Like your F-15 takes off, like a Chihuahua taking off, and then when the F-15 with the double engine takes off, it's like a bulldog barking. You know, that's what I equated to. F-15's like, oh, you.
It's more like, you know, we see the bulldog F-16's taking off, and then you're sitting there and you say, oh man, that F-15. We're just waiting for another AB blowout. Just is it going to get off the ground this time, or is it going to be that overweight? Is it that overweight collie that's running around? That you got to just kind of it's about to be put down.
This interview's over. So, AB blowout is kind of a sore subject because for some reason the F-15, now maybe not the 229s, but like the 70s and 80s version, especially like the 80s, 86, 87, 88, 89, with the other crap motor that they still use, God, man, it's like there's blowouts and stuff and some different things. But, those 229s, because they recycle the fuel,
right.
sometimes the fuel sits in the exhaust. It just sits there. And then when they start the jet and it ignites, they're like, oh my God, there's a blowout. And then what I love to see is the little airmen go and take that big halon bottle and go and put halon into an exhaust that's blowing into their face. And I'm like, really? I want to be like Yoda, be like, remember your training. Like it's supposed to be straight down the intake, not the exhaust. Like, and I'm always sitting there yelling at them, like, remember your training, and, like on dodgeball, remember your training, It's like I see these kids, like the tailpipe fire, and then they grab the halon bottle. I'm like, oh God, and then they go to the back of the jet, and they spray halon, and it blows back in their face, and they're like coughing and gagging. I'm like, nah, that didn't work. Throw it down the intake there, buddy. So,
yep.
But I've enjoyed my career. It's stupid stuff like that you see. You're like, ah, geez, that you remember.
Yeah.
You remember the relationships that you make. And as stressful as it is, and as it was, and it always will be. Man, the experiences and the leadership and the growth that you experience as a human being serving in the military is, second to none. We make fun of Marines, we make fun of Army, we serve together, but if a civilian tries to make fun of us, like all of our branches are like, no, those are fighting words, and we stick up for each other.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I got a ride in the back of my F-15, the one that I crewed. 91604 was my aircraft tail number, 91604. I was stationed at Lakenheath,
nice.
England, and got a ride in the back of my F-15 in Zaragoza, Spain. And there wasn't much to look at because it's pretty flat there. But it was still a really, real cool experience, man. They tried to make me throw up, but I came pretty close. But, what a great
I remember mine was tail number 851511, 851511. And, so you'll never forget that, man. Those are things that, and you're right, man. The experiences that you have. What's that?
I said, you never forget your jet. I crewed that jet back in like 2002 to 2004, my first aircraft that I ever crewed. You never forget that your aircraft tail number.
Nope, you never. Like my very first aircraft I ever was a DCC on is 84-1295, and it breaks my heart because it's in the drone program right now. So I know eventually it'll be I know eventually it's gonna bite the dust. But the very first airplanes I ever hit my head on that I got a falcon bite on was aircraft 84-1260, and that's already in the drink because that was the first 16 that got shot down from the drone program. So it's in the Gulf of Mexico somewhere. So.
Jesus, you heard about that F-16 from March Reserve Base, yeah?
Yeah, I heard. It's funny because I actually deployed with that unit, the Lobos, out of South Dakota.
Yeah.
So they're a really good unit there. But and they got really good Vipers, man. I don't know what happened, and it's all speculation, but it was pretty cool. Made a nice little hole.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
What are you gonna do?
It definitely made an impact for sure. They quoted a hydraulic failure, and so I don't know, man. It'll be investigated. It's probably.
I love listening to all the pundits that have no idea about airplanes or especially fighter jets and things like that in general.
Oh, I
You
know.
know, and it's like they're all like, oh my gosh, you know, they come up with the most outlandish theories, and they go, oh, there was hydrazine on board, and that was like rocket fuel, and all this. I'm like, yeah, you know, you have no idea what hydrazine is. You know, you have
Right.
no idea what hydrazine is. It's just,
Or they said
you're
that.
good.
Well, the funniest part about everything was when it first happened. They said a hydraulic failure. And I was like, I can kind of see that, right? I mean, I can kind of see that. And they're like, yeah. Then they had flight control issues because of hydraulics. And I was like, wrong. Hydraulics are not part of the flight control system. Like in our head, we're going through like our CDCs, and we're like going through like what we know. We're like, nope, hydraulics is not actually routed that way. It's actually routed this way. And like we're doing our own, analysis of the crash. Like, well, actually, it probably could be pilot error if he was flying. If he's, but now if it was an F-15 crash, and they said, hydraulic failure, I'm like, well, shit, that could be anything. That could be flight controls, it could be landing gear, it could be because our whole aircraft is operated by hydraulic fluid. You guys have hydraulic fluid as a backup, So they'll figure it out. It'll probably be something stupid like because the pilot punched out. He called in a failure for something like that, and then punched out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that.
So I mean,
some of those GEs have had some issues. Some of those GEs have had like engine mech issues and stuff. So it could be that. I mean, there wasn't like a big explosion or anything like that. So I mean, he was still flying. So I think it could have been a motor issue. I honestly think most of the time when those things go down, it's usually just a motor issue. So
which you bring up a good point, man, because there wasn't an explosion at all. It just kind of fell through, and you know what I mean. So and it wasn't like it was going really slow. Like I'm surprised that it didn't like explode. But it doesn't look like it did. It just looks like it came apart and just looked like an aircraft crash.
People were all worried because it was carrying live weapons. It did have live weapons on it because it was one of their alert birds because they stood alert out there.
Yes, it did.
So
yeah,
so they had a couple 120s, couple A9, and a hot gun. So people were like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna blow up!" And they went out to the safe distance, 4,000 feet, get out of there. Which is what you're supposed to do, but but people aren't understanding. Like, oh my gosh, they're thinking like it's like a nuke. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, somebody's gonna go in there, and then you're just gonna see this big cloud, this big mushroom cloud over Southern California or somewhere. It's like,
right?
It doesn't work that way, people. It does not work that way.
Yeah. So. All right, so as we start to close the show, let's talk about this. Talk about your 5 steps to help navigate yourself after divorce. That resource that you have. Quickly talk about that, and then we'll start to close the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. So, we all go through our critical times. It's in our aftermath, and so these are the 5 most critical steps that you need to really get out of the funk and really get you moving. Okay, so like the first one, honestly, the first one is your faith. Okay, you first actually get help. You have to seek help. And like I said, you have to have that group around you. You have to, whether it's your family, your friends, whatever, or if it's, especially as far as veterans, if you go to the VA, you get free help there, where you can speak to somebody and get that help. You have to seek that help. You have to bite the bullet, swallow that pride, get out there, because guess what? You always need help. When we're in the military, we don't go out by ourselves. Our fighter jets never go out by themselves. They always go out in pairs. Why? Because they need a wingman. So this is where you need a wingman. So you go out there, seek that help, find out who can help you the most, but who's going to be unbiased. You don't want somebody who's going to be, who's going to just blow smoke up your ass or anything like that just to make you feel better. You want someone who's going to help you divulge and get right down into the abyss to help break down what it is what's happening, so that way you can really embrace what's going on, because that's the key. You have to embrace that. Okay, the second step is to build your faith, whether it's faith in God or it's faith in yourself. You have to build that, and the way you do that, the way you build your faith, is to create little victories. So what I suggest is you write down your goals, what you want to do, what you want to get, because once you've established and you got that help and you kind of have that clear program, and this is where we're going to OODA loop it: observe, orient, decide, and act. So, once you get that help, you're observing everything, what's going on. So now you're going to orient yourself in that best possible way. So the way you do that, you write down your goals, whether it's a 7-day, a weekly goal, 30-day goals, 90-day goals, 6 months, 1 year. You write down these goals, and every single day when you accomplish it, boom, you do it. you do it. You know, when you look at some of these veterans that come back, that they have your triple amputees, you know, quadruple amputees, and they're just full of life. Why? Because every single day they're experiencing another victory. They're doing another goal, and they're creating that another goal. Hey, I'm going to grab this with my, you know, with my prosthetic. I'm going to be able to take another step tomorrow. You know, those little steps are going to help you out. So that's step number 2. Step 3, which is a huge, huge part, is forgiveness. Number 1, if you're not forgiving yourself, most importantly, forgiving yourself for upsetting, for just basically screwing up whatever it is, even if it was your fault or even if it wasn't your fault, you have to forgive yourself and understand that you're not only human, you're going to make mistakes. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. It's just the way it is. And then number 2, you have to forgive if it's something else that happened on the outside that had nothing controlling over you. You have to forgive that other person. Like for me, I had to forgive my wife. You know, I you know, with all the infidelity and stuff, I had to forgive her because it's like you got this rucksack on you and you got all these rocks or whatever, or you got this big trash bag or whatever, and you're trying to climb this mountain, but it's all unnecessary stuff. It's not gear that you need. So what do? You just let it go. You drop it, you forgive them, and you move on. That's really how do you do. And then how do you do that? Easy. You go to the person, or you know, through your daily goals, find a way to build up to get to that person. Or if it's for you, when you're building those goals and you're starting to see that progress, you start to say, hey, it's okay. I'm okay to make these mistakes. I'm okay to mess up every now and again. Step 4, you have to live for you. Listen, no matter what you do, somebody's always going to be critical of you. Doesn't matter. Who cares? There's always going to be someone who's going to be critical of you. There's always going to be someone who's going to criticize you. There's always going to tell you that you're doing it wrong, that they got a better way to doing it, you know. But that's not for you. Not everybody wants to drive a Lamborghini. Not everybody wants to drive a Hellcat. Some people like to drive a beat-up 99 Honda Accord. You know, who cares? But it doesn't matter. That's for you. You have to start living for you. And if that's you, that's who you are, that's you. You have to live for you. You cannot look for acceptance outside of other people, because society's acceptance, then you're always going to be constantly striving for that acceptance, and you're never going to achieve it, because their acceptance is one thing today and then something else the next day. And it's a constant roller coaster. You cannot do that. So you have to live for you, because whatever you live for you is what you're giving to, because you are your own self. You are your own blessing. You are your own. This is what you do for you is what your gifts to the world, because God has given you unique gifts and He's given you unique blessings. And if you are holding that back and you're not allowing that to be blessed and bless the rest of the world for you, then guess what? You're being a selfish person, because you're not blessing the world the way God intended you to do. So you have to live for you. And then step 5,
I love it.
Stay the course. Stay the course. Just stay the course, and it's going to be happening.
Awesome, man. Dude, amazing content, amazing, everything that you have going on, and I want to thank you so much for your time, man, and being a guest on my show, Life Transformation Radio.
Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, man. It was a lot of fun, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. So for those who want to connect with Sean Romero and his Faithfully Led mission, he is on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. In the show notes is his Calendly link for a 1-hour call with him. Connect with him, and I'm telling you, the guy is absolute fire. He will revolutionize your life and change whatever it is that needs to be changed. He's got you. So with that, we close the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening. If anything resonated with you, please connect with Sean Romero, connect with him in his links, and let him know that you heard him on Life Transformation Radio. If anything resonated with you, subscribe to Life Transformation Radio wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts, and don't forget to leave us a rating and review. As we close, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold in your heart. And I call that living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.